The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Pain Free Today with your host, Denis Thompson. Brought to you by Worldwide Advanced Medical Technologies, LLC. Call 954-256-0045 or online at painmanagementnetwork.com. Here you will learn how to eliminate your pain. You will learn about a revolutionary new therapy called the ARP Wave System, which treats the neurological origin of pain, not the symptoms. You will learn how to increase your range of motion and how you can move freely without pain at any age. You will learn how you can try one free treatment from one of our local providers. Denis Thompson has 25 years' experience working with top athletes and non-athletes of all types. He has treated thousands of patients with better than a 95% success rate. His list of athlete clients reads like a who's who of the sports world. Listen and find out how the ARP Wave System can benefit you. And now, here's your host, Denis Thompson.
Good morning and welcome to Pain Free Today. I'm your host, Denis Thompson. And today's show, I'd like to answer a lot of questions. Before I do that, I would like to start out with just bringing you up to speed for those new listeners that we have each and every week on exactly what the ARP Wave System neurotherapy is, because it's quite unique. And if you are not familiar with it, and even if you are familiar with it, it is sometimes quite confusing. The therapy that we have developed is a therapy that is designed around a very simple premise, and that is that everything in your body is controlled by your nervous system. And if your nervous system isn't sending the right signals to your muscles to allow your muscles to do what they are supposed to do, then those muscles cannot act as shock absorbers. And if they cannot act as shock absorbers, that shock or force is going to go to tissue that it's not designed to go to. So the therapy is designed to work on the neurological origin of a physiological problem. So wherever you have pain, wherever in your body you experience pain, is where the problem ended up. It is not at all where the problem is coming from. And that's really hard for a lot of people to understand. However, it is very, very factual. And we've been able to prove that probably over 75,000 times over the last 15 years in the number of patients that we've treated. We typically always ask the patient where they feel pain, or where an MRI says there is a problem, or an X-ray says there is a fracture. Understand that all of our testing that we presently do in this country and throughout the world tells us where the problem ended up. It does not tell us where the problem is coming from. Now, I happen to believe that that's a major, major deficiency in our system. We need to find out where it's coming from in order to solve the problem. What the ARP Wave System neurotherapy does is it identifies quite quickly where the signal is coming from, which is causing the pain to be located in the area that it is. So if you're working on the area where the pain ended up, you're really not solving the problem. You're simply working on the symptom of the problem. So the ARP Wave System neurotherapy works on the neurological origin of the physiological symptom. Now, that's a mouthful, and what it means is wherever you have pain is where the problem ended, not where it's coming from. It's coming from a neurological origin. In other words, an electrical signal. And unless you address that electrical signal and track it back to where it's ending up, you are not going to solve the problem. Just that simple. And that's why we have so many people who are in pain. So many people where the pain comes and goes. so many people that have repetitive muscle, tendon, and ligament injuries. They have those injuries and they have that pain for one specific reason, and that is we have never found out where it's coming from. We're extraordinarily successful throughout the world in traditional medicine, standardized medicine, at knowing where the problem ended up. My goodness, if you're in pain right now today, if you're listening to this show any place in the world today, and you have pain, you do not need a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 study or image to tell you where you hurt. You know where you hurt. Well, if you do an MRI, the MRI is going to show you where the problem ended. If you fracture a leg, fracture an arm, fracture a finger, do an X-ray, it's going to tell you where the problem ended, where you broke the bone. That's very, very important. However, it does not answer the question, where is the signal coming from that's causing you the pain? That is not done. So, what the ARP Wave System neurotherapy does, it answers that question. It answers that simple question. Where is the signal coming from? Now, once we know where the signal's coming from, we can then train the muscles to do what they're supposed to do. Right now, if you have pain, right now, if you have restricted range of motion, that is a direct result of your nervous system not sending the appropriate electrical signal to your muscles to allow your muscles to do what they're designed to do, which is stabilize you and absorb force. So if you were an automobile and you had no shocks, all the force would go to the frame of your car, and it would not take too long before you have major problems with your automobile. Well, your body's the same way. The trouble is that we look at everything as an end result of the symptom. We do not look at and do not answer the question, where is the signal coming from? We address where the signal ended up, but not where the signal is coming from. So the ARP Wave System neurotherapy is a tremendous adjunct to the practice of any doctor. And what I mean by that is it's an add-on, not a subtraction. So what your doctor is doing, and he's very or she's very, very skilled at what they do, works on the physical side of the problem. It does not, in most cases, not all, but in certainly most cases, it does not work on the neurological origin of that problem. And that's exactly what the ARP Wave System neurotherapy does. So anyone who's listening to this today can certainly understand that if you're only working on where a problem ends up and you satisfy the feeling of where that problem ended up, you haven't done anything to solve the problem. Example, if you have knee pain, you have knee pain for a variety of reasons, but the primary reason you have knee pain is your muscles are not acting as a shock absorber, keeping the force out of your knee. And if you have bone on bone in the knee, all that force is accumulated to such an extent that it has done significant damage. Again, that analogy back to an automobile with no shocks. The automobile with no shocks has all this force coming directly into the frame, and sooner or later, you're going to have major structural problems with the car. Well, the same thing happens with your body. If your shocks don't work and all the force, instead of going into your shock absorbers, your muscles, goes into your joints, you're going to have a joint problem, and you're going to have a major joint problem. So now, if that were the case, and it was that simple, does it make sense to put new shocks on the car, or does it make sense to put and get a brand new car? Well, most people would agree it makes more sense to put new shocks on the car. Well, if you have surgery and you're bone on bone and you're in tremendous pain and you have that surgery, what you're doing is you're having surgery on where the problem ended up, not at all where the problem is coming from. So if you have that surgery and let's say you're 40 years old, and with the technology that we have now as opposed to 15 years ago, that new joint that the skilled surgeon puts in is going to last about 25 years. 10 years ago, it lasted about 10 years. But you're going to need another new joint by the time you're 25 years older. Why? Because you've destroyed the new joint. So ask yourself the simple question is, why would I need a new joint 10, 15, or 25 years after I put a new one in to solve the problem now if it was solving the problem? And the answer, of course, is a very simple answer. You wouldn't. But we don't look at the why. Why do you need a new joint? The why. The answer to the why is a neurological answer. And what the ARP Wave System neurotherapy does is it answers that question. It answers the question of why your muscles are not doing what they are supposed to do to absorb the forces coming into your body, and therefore the force is transferred directly into your joint, which is not designed to absorb that force. So what we do with the neurotherapy is the first thing we do is we find out where in the world is that signal coming from that's causing the muscle not to do what it's doing, what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to protect you. It's supposed to give you the advantage of having a shock absorber. If you do not have that advantage, you're going to have a problem. So if you're in pain right now, understand that there's force going into the area where you have pain. Anywhere in your body, there's force going into that area, and that's causing that pain. Listen carefully now to how you can try the ARP Wave System neurotherapy at no cost or obligation, and I'll be right back.
Individuals who have been unsuccessful in eliminating their pain are invited to obtain a free ARP Wave System treatment. Register now on our website at painmanagementnetwork.com to arrange a free ARP Wave System treatment from one of the doctors in our ARP Wave South Florida provider network. You can also call 954-256-0045 in order to schedule your free evaluation and first treatment. Contact us now at 954-256-0045 or visit our website www.painmanagementnetwork.com and register to begin a new life pain-free. The ARP Wave Provider Network is also currently looking for doctors to join our network. We have an increasing number of patients who are looking for doctors to perform treatments using the ARP Wave System to help them eliminate pain they are experiencing. Contact us now at 954-256-0045 to have a representative come out and see you, or visit our website, www.painmanagementnetwork.com, and register for an appointment with one of our representatives. Once you are in our network, we can start referring you patients located in your area looking for doctors performing ARP Wave System treatments.
Welcome back to Pain Free Today. I'm your host, Denis Thompson, and the first part of the show we were talking about what is neurotherapy. And I think it became very clear, or should have become very clear, that neurotherapy is a therapy which addresses the neurological origin or the beginning of where the signal is coming from, which is causing your physiological symptoms. What that means is wherever you have pain is where the problem ended. It's not where it's coming from. And what neurotherapy is going to do is you're going to help your doctor or your practitioner find out exactly where that signal is coming from and get rid of the problem by eliminating the source of the problem. The source of the problem is never, ever, ever where you feel the pain. It is never the source. So if you don't work on the source, you're not going to solve the problem long term. How many times have you talked to someone or yourself and you've been treated, you take medication for pain? Let's just use pain as just a broad-based example. And sometimes it goes away, mysteriously goes away, and then it comes back. Well, do you honestly think it would come back if it was ever gone? All that happens is your attention leaves that spot. Something else takes your attention away from that spot. Or your movement pattern isn't significant enough to elicit that pain. It doesn't go away and come back if you get rid of the source. The only way things come back is if we're mitigating the symptoms. With ARP Wave System neurotherapy, we do not work on your symptoms. We only work on the neurological origin of those symptoms. Now, when we took a break, you listened to the spot where we offer you, as a patient, the opportunity to try this system, to try this therapy at no cost and no obligation. And if it costs you nothing, there's no obligation, it can't possibly hurt you, then why in the world wouldn't you do it? So we have doctors throughout the entire area. We have doctors throughout the entire world who would be more than happy to show you that this system, this therapy, can help you. But again, the only way you're ever going to know if it's going to help you or not is to try it. And if we've taken all the obstacles away, the cost, we've taken the obligation away, there's no cost to you, no cost to your insurance company, no cost to anybody to see if this therapy, in addition to what you're doing now, can help you. Now, every single one of you who are listening to this show today have a doctor that's treating you. Here's what I'd like you to do. As soon as this program's over, I want you to get on the phone, call the doctor, and ask your doctor if he or she offers the ARP Wave System neurotherapy. If they don't, ask them if they would be open to the idea of having you treated with this new therapy in their office at no cost to you, no cost to them, no cost to anybody. And you will see, and your doctor will see, firsthand if we can help you. Now, my guess is that if we're treating you in your doctor's office and it helps you, more so than you've been helped in the past, my guess is you'll probably want to be treated by your doctor for your issue, whatever it is, wherever you have pain, wherever you have restricted range of motion, wherever you have any symptoms. We will treat by finding out where those symptoms are coming from. So not only will we be able to show you, but we'll be able to show your doctor. And if you see a change, I'm certain you're going to want to have that treatment. Now, if your doctor is not open to that idea, that's fine. Just simply give us a call and call us locally at 954-256-0045 and just let us know, hey, I talked to my doctor, they're not interested, or I talked to my doctor and they are interested. Either way, give us a call, and if your doctor is not interested, we'll put you in touch with a doctor in your area who will offer this service for you. But we would prefer to have your doctor do it because you already have a relationship with your doctor. But if your doctor's not interested, we know we can help you. The trouble is, you don't know we can help you. And the only way you're ever going to know if we can help you or not is to try it. And again, there's no cost, there's no obligation, there's no insurance forms, there's nobody that's paying for anything other than the fact that we need to prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt, and we need to prove to your doctor beyond a shadow of a doubt that we can help you. No amount of studies, no amount of scientific data is ever going to prove to you that we can help you unless you try it. No amount of studies is ever going to prove to your doctor that we can help you unless your doctor sees we can help you or not. And if we can, I'm certain you're going to want to get treated. If we can't, you've spent 15 to 30 minutes of your time to find out if you can change your quality of life. If nothing at all, it will be an amazing experience because you're going to find out things that you don't even know right now, nor does your doctor. Because this therapy is going to tell you exactly where your problem is coming from, not where your problem has ended up. You know where it ended up. Your doctor knows where it ended up. All the tests indicate where it ended up. But I submit to you one simple fact. There is no one telling you where it's coming from in most cases. Again, not all, but in most cases. So to be completely fair with everyone listening to this program, it's important to understand this is an experiential experience. You can talk about it. I can talk about it. Your doctor can talk about it. You can read about it. But you're not ever going to know if this therapy can help you unless you go through the therapy. And again, if we've taken all the cost away, all the obligation away, all the pressure away, made it convenient where it's in your own area, why in the world wouldn't you try it? I'm confused. Why wouldn't you try it? And if that's not enough, I'll tell you what. I'll make you an offer. You contact me at painmanagementnetwork.com and tell me why, what's the reason that you will not take action and go to your doctor or not take action and go to one of our doctors. And if it's within reason, we'll eliminate all your obstacles. My only goal in life is to help as many people as I can live a better quality of life. We've treated over 75,000 patients over the last 15 years. Many of them, some of the most exclusive, elite athletes in the world. Names that you would know immediately. It's a who's who of the most elite performers in the world. Why would they come to us when they have all the money, all the prestige, all the relationships you would ever need? Why would they come to us if what we did didn't satisfy what they were looking for? And the answer is they wouldn't. Absolutely wouldn't. But they have. and with better than a 95% success rate. So I know our providers can help you. I know the doctors we're training in this therapy can help you. So we as a company are no longer doing therapy. We're setting up the nation's largest network of professionals. Your doctor, your surgeon, your neurosurgeon, your athletic trainer, your physical therapist, your physiotherapist. We're setting up those medical professionals to administer this therapy in addition to the therapy that they're presently offering right now. Why? Because it's the other side of the coin. The coin that everyone is trained in, including myself as a physiologist, is a physical side of the coin. Most of us, and again, not all of us, but most of us, and certainly most listening to this show today, and if they're a provider, they'll agree, they were not trained on finding out where the problem is coming from in a soft tissue injury. They were trained on how to fix and eliminate the symptoms of the soft tissue injury. Soft tissue meaning tendons, muscles, related tissue. Any tissue, not disease, tissue. So, with that in mind, when you hear the next spot is going to be reaching out to you again. It's going to give you a local telephone number. It's going to give you a website address. If you're a professional, medical professional, and you're listening to this show today, we want to work with you as a team to help every single one of your patients have a higher quality of life. Together, we can do that. If you're a patient listening to this today, and a patient means anyone in pain, anyone with a restricted range of motion, anyone who's had a surgery that failed, anyone that's had a surgery and they're not happy with how fast or how long it's taking to recover from it, anyone who's had to restrict their lifestyle, their activities of their lifestyle, anyone who falls into any of those categories is what we would consider to be a patient. And again, there's only one way you will ever know whether you're a medical professional or whether you're an individual. If this system will work for you, if this therapy will work for you, and that's to try it. So listen carefully to how you can do that.
Individuals who have been unsuccessful in eliminating their pain are invited to obtain a free ARP Wave System treatment. Register now on our website at painmanagementnetwork.com to arrange a free ARP Wave System treatment from one of the doctors in our ARP Wave South Florida Provider Network. You can also call 954-256-0045 in order to schedule your free evaluation and first treatment. Contact us now at 954-256-0045 or visit our website www.painmanagementnetwork.com and register to begin a new life pain-free. The ARP Wave Provider Network is also currently looking for doctors to join our network. We have an increasing number of patients who are looking for doctors to perform treatments using the ARP Wave System to help them eliminate pain they are experiencing. Contact us now at 954-256-0045 to have a representative come out and see you, or visit our website, www.painmanagementnetwork.com, and register for an appointment with one of our representatives. Once you are in our network, we can start referring you patients located in your area looking for doctors performing ARP Wave System treatments.
Welcome back Pain Free Today. My name is Denis Thompson. I'm your host of the show. And we had a question come in from a young man on the website. And he basically said, I listen to the show every single week, and it seems to be that the ARP Wave System neurotherapy only addresses things that are age-related, such as pain, such as restricted range of motion, surgery, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a young athlete, he says, and I have ankle sprains almost every other month. I have a very severe ankle sprain. Is there anything that the ARP Wave System neurotherapy can do to help me? Or is it just for adults? Is it not for young athletes? And of course, the answer to that question is, of course, we can help you. And let me kind of explain and answer your question. First off, if you're consistently spraining your ankle, there is a major, major problem going on. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how strong you are. One of the common misconceptions in youth sports, even in professional sports, is that we basically look at strength as an insulator against injury, when in reality, the only thing that's going to insulate you from injury is going to be your ability to absorb force. And unfortunately, as a young athlete, unfortunately, as a professional athlete, unfortunately, as any athlete, you've never in your entire career been trained on how to absorb force unless you're possibly in the martial arts. And if even then, it's marginal if you're being trained to absorb force. And the reason I say that is because that training, that ability, is not a physical ability. It has absolutely nothing to do with how much weight you can lift, has absolutely nothing to do with how strong you are. What it has to do with is a neurological component, and that neurological component is how fast your nervous system can send the right signal to your muscles to turn them on fast enough at the appropriate time to absorb the forces coming into your body. And with someone with a consistent ankle sprain, I can tell you that's not happening. So let me kind of give you an idea, and I'm not here to diagnose because I am not a doctor, and I'm not here to give you free medical advice because, I'm not a doctor. But let me tell you how we address ankle sprains. The first thing we have to do is you would be seen by our doctor, you would be evaluated, you would make sure, and the doctor would make sure that there's no contraindications at all. And then you would go into the ARP Wave System's neurotherapy. And the first thing that we would do is give you a very simple test. That test is painless. It takes about 15 minutes or so. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check to see, is your nervous system doing what it's supposed to do? And for the providers listening to this, that means that we are going to be utilizing the outward expression of the nervous system, which is the muscles, to determine can they absorb the slightest amount of force. So you, the athlete with the ankle sprain, who have sent me, and your name is Bill, so Bill, I'm speaking directly to you now. So Bill, we're going to have you lay down on a treatment table. We're going to have you raise your leg up straight up in the air, about 45-degree angle with the leg perfectly straight. We're going to have you curl your toes back toward your eyes. We're going to put our fingers right on your shin, and we're going to tell you to resist as we put very, very, very light resistance on your shin. If you cannot hold your leg in that position, you have a problem. And what that means is it has nothing to do with how strong you are. I've done this, Bill, on people that have the capability of squatting with 800 to 900 pounds of weight on their back. And I've taken one finger, had them resist as hard as they could, and pushed their leg down to the ground. It has nothing to do with strength. What it has to do with is how quickly you can turn those muscles on to act as a shock absorber. And with you, in your specific case, and I'm speaking directly to you, in your specific case, you are not able to absorb force, because evidenced by the fact that you have repetitive ankle sprains. Now, ankle sprains are probably the most insidious injury there is. So if moms and dads are listening to this and you've got a son or a daughter in athletics, or you yourself have sprained your ankle, I'm going to tell you right now, you have set yourself up for a major, major problem coming down the road. And let me explain what I'm talking about. There's basically three places in the human anatomy where muscles do not splint or go across the top of a joint. One of them is the tibia fibula, which, by the way, is the main stabilizing bones for your ankle. So the muscle grows lengthwise. It doesn't grow across the top of the joint. So the only thing holding those two bones together is the set of ligaments. When you strain your ankle, you turn it to the left, you turn it to the right, you turn it forward, you roll it, you do anything, you're stretching those ligaments. When you stretch those ligaments, you create a neurological disconnect of information. What that means is, for the providers listening, that means we have a joint receptor not sending the proper electrical signals to the muscles, so the muscles have absolutely no idea what to do. For you, Bill, who are not a medically trained person, what that means is that every single time you take a step, the force that's supposed to be absorbed by all of the muscles in your body is not being absorbed. So sooner or later, you're going to get to a point where you overload some muscle, some tendon, some ligament, and now you're going to have a major, major problem on your hands. Now, we did a study for the National Football League on ankle sprains, and we studied 60 players, and we followed those 60 players after an ankle sprain. And then we brought the information to the National Football League Players Association and the Athletic Trainers Association. And here's what the data told us. The data told us that within 6 months' time of the initial ankle sprain, after all the symptoms were gone, we either had a knee problem, tendon or ligament, we had a hip problem, tendon or ligament, or we had a back problem, all coming from the same impetus, the ankle sprain. Now, 60 out of 60 is pretty conclusive evidence that there's something going on. And that something going on is that you have a destabilized joint receptor, and therefore the muscles don't have a clue what to do. So for Bill, what that means for you is every time you take a step, the force is supposed to be going into your calf and your hamstring and your front of your leg, your quad, is not going there. It's going someplace else. And it's just going to be a matter of time before you have a knee problem, a hip problem, a back problem, a shoulder problem, or some other problem. Your ankle's not going to be the problem. Your ankle's going to be fine. You're not going to feel a thing in your ankle. But the ankle's not the problem to begin with. The ankle is where the problem ended up. So the first thing we're going to do is find out, is your nervous system working correctly, Bill? And again, it's not. So then we have to make sure that we turn those switches back on to get those muscles to do what they're supposed to do. Then we have to stabilize your joint. The way we do that is put a piece of tape around that tib-fib joint, and that tape acts as a neurological reinforcement that says to your brain that I now have stabilization there, even though you don't, but it says you do. So now all of a sudden your muscles start getting the messages that they're supposed to be getting, and we transfer the force out of the ankle back into the muscles where it's supposed to go, and now the problem is pretty much resolved. But then ask yourself the question, Bill, why do you consistently keep having ankle sprains? And the answer is you're not strong enough to do what you're doing. It's just that simple. And the reason you're not strong enough to do what you're doing is because your muscles aren't getting the right signals. So just by stabilizing the joint, by having our provider stabilize the joint, all of a sudden those muscles now are going to get the signals that they need to get to absorb the force, to keep the force out of your ankle, and stop you from having repetitive ankle sprains. But my guess is, and what I'm going to ask you to do, Bill, is I want you to send me another email after listening to this answer. I know it's a kind of a drawn-out answer, but I think it'll help everybody listening also. I want you to send me another email, and I want you to tell me, does your knee hurt, does your back hurt, does your shoulder hurt, does your neck hurt, or does your hamstring hurt? And then we'll address that next week on the air. And if you'd like to, I'd invite you to come on the air, but it's entirely up to you. But the answer to the question that you're asking is, can the ARP Wave system help your ankle sprain? Absolutely. Let me give you an example, a classic example. You're obviously an athlete, so you obviously probably follow football since you're a football player. If you remember the Super Bowl when the Indianapolis Colts played the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl. And the biggest story of that Super Bowl was not the Super Bowl. The biggest story of that Super Bowl is Dwight Freeney, the defensive end for the Indianapolis Colts. Was he going to be able to play because he had a grade 3 ankle sprain? Now, any provider listening to this knows that means there's ligaments torn completely off the bone or literally severed. And it normally takes a minimum of 10 weeks before you can even think about resuming playing or running. Now, that's exactly the diagnosis that Dwight Freeney had 1 week prior to the Super Bowl. We began working with Dwight. Dwight's been a client of ours for years. So we began working with Dwight, and we worked around the clock the week of the Super Bowl. On Thursday, Dwight had an MRI and cleared him for the Super Bowl. Now, every provider out there knows that that is literally impossible to happen, but yet it did happen. How did it happen? It's real simple. Bill, all we did is we transferred the force out of his ankle, put it back into his muscles where they're supposed to go, built up the neurological component where the ankle was stabilized, the joint receptors were working, and did he have a good game? Well, let me tell you, in the very first quarter of the game, he had a sack of Drew Brees. So the answer to the question is, can we help you? Yes. Have we done it before? Oh, just about 15 to 20,000 times. Have we done it with athletes? I just gave you the example of Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney has been a client of ours for years and years and years. Wouldn't even dream of playing football without being a client of ours. So if Dwight Freeney of the Indianapolis Colts can utilize our therapy, you certainly can utilize our therapy, and right in your area there are many, many doctors that can help you. And so what I would recommend is listen carefully to the telephone number that you'll hear, which again will be 954-256-0045. Give us a call. We'll get you in touch with one of our providers if and only if your doctor is not willing to have a demonstration of this in his office.
Individuals who have been unsuccessful in eliminating their pain are invited to obtain a free ARP Wave System treatment. Register now on our website at painmanagementnetwork.com to arrange a free ARP Wave System treatment from one of the doctors in our ARP Wave South Florida provider network. You can also call 954-256-0045 in order to schedule your free evaluation and first treatment. Contact us now at 954-256-0045 or visit our website www.painmanagementnetwork.com and register to begin a new life pain-free. The ARP Wave Provider Network is also currently looking for doctors to join our network. We have an increasing number of patients who are looking for doctors to perform treatments using the ARP Wave System to help them eliminate pain they are experiencing. Contact us now at 954-256-0045 to have a representative come out and see you, or visit our website, www.painmanagementnetwork.com, and register for an appointment with one of our representatives. Once you are in our network, we can start referring you patients located in your area looking for doctors performing ARP Wave System treatments.
Welcome back to Pain Free Today. I'm your host, Denis Thompson. And in the last segment, we talked to and answered the question of a young man pertaining to an ankle sprain, and hopefully that was informative for him. I have another question here from a Meredith. Meredith, if you're listening, hopefully this will answer your question. Meredith writes in, can the ARP Wave System do anything for hip pain? Can this therapy help my hip pain? I've been diagnosed by my doctor as having avascular necrosis, and I suffer from extreme pain in the hip, and I've been recommended for surgery. I'm quite concerned about having surgery, and I'm wondering if the ARP Wave System neurotherapy could help me, if any of your providers could help me. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to prescribe anything. I'm not here to diagnose anything. I can only tell you in the past what our providers have been able to do. Do I think we can help you? There's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that we can help you. And again, it's going to start with a very simple premise. The first thing we have to do is, just because you have avascular necrosis just simply means you're not getting blood supply to that area. And just because you can't drive blood to that area doesn't mean an external source can't. So our providers have at their disposal a tool that is going to literally flood your hip region with blood. And I mean flood it with blood. And the more blood that gets into that area, the more you're going to reverse that diagnosis very quickly. Understand that all the diagnoses that we get and our providers get from different specialists throughout the world are all based on a very simple premise, again, and that is what your body can do by itself, not what your body can do with an assistance. And so when you have a restricted blood supply to a given area, most practitioners, most providers know that there's a certain number of areas throughout the body that we have restricted blood supply to. So therefore, it's going to be very difficult to get medication to that area. It's going to be very difficult to speed up the healing process by any stretch of the imagination. Again, that is a neurological breakdown. What controls our blood supply, what controls absolutely everything in our body is a control mechanism called the nervous system. And this therapy, the ARP Wave System neurotherapy, works on that system and works on that system only. Therefore, when we're working on what's driving the blood to the area, as opposed to hoping the system can do it on its own, we're acting as a facilitator for that. So, Meredith, let me kind of answer your question in a long, drawn-out manner if I could. The first thing that I would want you to do is go to one of our providers. And you're local here, so we'll get you hooked up if and only if your doctor decides that he or she does not want to have you treated with this in their office. And to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't seen too many doctors that want to turn over a patient to some other doctor. So, Meredith, the first thing I want you to do is just contact your doctor, say you heard this on the show, have them go to our website, painmanagementnetwork.com, and that should answer all his questions or her questions. But the bottom line is what we'll do is we'll come out, we'll send one of our professionals out to your doctor's office, your local, and what we will do is we will treat you at no cost, no obligation, with the understanding that if we do what we say we can do, and if you feel better than what you did when you came in, that you tell your doctor that you want to be treated. And then if you're the doctor, you're going to have them make a choice. Do you want to treat her or do you want one of our doctors to treat her? And if you want to treat her, then you become one of our doctors. And if you don't want to treat her, that's fine. At least you learned something. You spent a little time learning a new technology, a new therapy. But, Meredith, we're going to get you treated. And here's why. The first thing that's happening is we're going to test you to see, is your nervous system doing what it's supposed to do? We do the simple test that I was talking to Bill about earlier in the segment, about how we're going to raise your leg straight up in the air. We're going to put light resistance on your leg. If you can resist, great. If you can't, then there's a problem, and we have to turn that switch back on to get those muscles to do what they're supposed to do. So that's going to be the very first thing that we do. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to scan your body. And we're going to scan your body with our proprietary tools, and when I mean proprietary, they're patented, they're proprietary, they're trade secrets, and all of our providers have been trained in the use of these proprietary tools. And we're going to scan your body with this tool, and we're going to identify exactly where the signal is coming from that's restricting the blood supply coming into your hip, and more importantly, is causing the hip pain. Now, once we identify that area, we then are going to start treating that area. And the way we treat it is we put you into an active range of motion, a movement that presently you cannot do without pain. So my guess is that would be raising your leg up. Say walking up a step, maybe walking up two steps high. I don't know what it is. But whatever movement, Meredith, bothers you the most, that's the movement we're going to have you do. And you're going to do that, and we're going to watch and look for your pattern of movement, because you are going to have a pattern of movement. We call that a compensation pattern. Most look at as compensation patterns as a physical limitation. We do not. We look at it as a neural pattern. And the reason we know it's a neural pattern is because if I have a provider give you an epidural shot and you don't have any pain at all, you're still going to have the same movement pattern. So if it was a physical pattern and your brain automatically picked up on the fact there was no pain, you'd go right back to walking normal, which in this case you will not do, because it's not a physical pattern. It's a neural pattern. So unless you're dealing with it neurologically, you're not going to break the pattern. And therefore, you're going to be constantly telling your brain that there's a problem, even though there isn't. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to treat you. We're going to have you repeat a movement initially as our baseline test to prove to you that it hurts to do that. It's something you already know. And then we're going to treat you. We're going to have you move in an appropriate position using the appropriate muscles to do the appropriate task. We're going to take the force out of the hip, and we're going to put it into the glutes or into the hamstrings or into the quad. So that force no longer goes to that area, so it's no longer an irritant to that area. And then once we've done that, we're going to start to break your pattern down at different stimuli. And at stimulus number one, we're going to break your pattern, and we're going to raise the stimulus. And when we raise that stimulus, you're going to go right back to your old pattern, because it's now a new stimulus, and it's going to create the same old pattern. And when we're done, 15 minutes later, we're going to have you replicate the movement that you originally did that hurt. And I can almost guarantee you, we will not guarantee you, but I can almost guarantee you that when you do whatever movement that was, if it was raising your leg, if it's walking up 2 stairs, whatever that movement was, you're not going to have anywhere near the pain that you did before. And the reason for that is because we've transferred that force causing that pain into a muscle that is not going to create pain. Now, the problem with that is that, and the reason you need to have therapy from your doctor or our doctor, whichever the case is because we've taken that muscle and we've trained it to be in a different position. But about an hour and a half to 2 hours after your first treatment, your muscle is going to go right back to where it knows to go. And the reason you have to go through therapy is every single day we're retraining that muscle to stay in a position to absorb the force longer and longer and longer periods of time. So day one, you might have pain for, comes back in about, say, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Day two might come back in 4 hours. Day three might come back in 6 hours. Day four might come back in 10 hours until we get up to 24 hours where the pain doesn't come back. Now we've sufficiently neurologically re-educated you to transfer the force that's going into the damaged tissue into tissue that's not damaged and is designed to absorb that force. So, Meredith, when we get done with you, I can literally almost guarantee you you're going to feel better than you have for a long, long time. Now, if you want to feel that way for the rest of your life, you are going to have to go through therapy. Because only when you go through therapy have you neurologically retrained your body to transfer the force out of your hip into your muscles to where it does not hurt. It's not a panacea. It's not a magic pill. It doesn't work for everybody, but it does work for about 95% of the people. Those are pretty good odds. Much better odds than most. So 95% of the time, we know what the end result is going to be. And the end result is going to be you're going to have a higher quality of life. Our providers can offer that to you. So, Meredith, what I want you to do is I want you to call your doctor, tell your doctor you'd like to get treated. Give us a call at 954-256-0045. We'll set up that treatment at your doctor's office. If your doctor says no, we will put you in touch with one of our doctors, but we will get you treated. Until next week, I'm Denis Thompson, your host, and this is Pain Free Today.
You've been listening to Pain Free Today with your host, Denis Thompson. Denis is the creator of the ARP Wave System. Send in your questions for next week's show to questions@painmanagementnetwork.com. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.